Collective aspects of language behavior. Monolingual situation. Even in monolingual situation, in addition to its communicative and cognitive functions, language has a social function. By this we mean that any utterance carries a social meaning in that, it reflects the position of its speaker in the power relations in the society which confers a particular social value to this utterance. It can be said that the whole social structure is present in every language interaction and that every interaction is mapped onto the social structure. Languages and varieties of language accents, dialects, sociolects, and codes have a recognized value on the linguistic market. Bourdieu, 1982, and can be placed on a hierarchical scale. Variations in discourse, i.e. in language behavior, are a result of the interplay between the objective dynamic forces of the market and the way in which the individual perceives, evaluates and responds to these forces. Different language varieties and their values are learned in particular markets. The structures of social networks influence the individual's language behavior, and group solidarity can lead to the maintenance of local, non-standard norms, and resistance to linguistic change. Whereas a loose and simplex network can lead to change in language. Milroy, 1980. Bilingual situation. When two or more languages are in contact, their relative functional use and relative valorization is very important. A state of functional equilibrium may also exist. In the case of diglossia, different use of each language is determined at the societal level. In that case we have a predictable form-function mapping. However, if the equilibrium is disrupted at one level, it will disrupt the equilibrium at all other levels. A change in the relative use of the two languages in the social networks, for example when the individual has a new network because of a job change, will inevitably provoke a change in the language behavior of the individual. A change in the use of two languages at the societal level, for example, introducing a compulsory language of schooling, will bring about a change in the use of language in the social network, hence in the interpersonal interactions and the language behavior of the individual. When enough individuals start changing their language behavior, for example using French instead of English, this will in turn modify language use. Language shift is defined as the change from the use of one language to the use of another language across generations. Language attrition is a shift occurring within one individual. In both cases, it refers to the loss of functions, forms and language skills. The shift is complete when parents of one generation cease to transmit their language to their children and when the latter are no longer motivated to acquire an active competence in that language. Language behavior is based on the following 5 principles. 1. There is a constant interaction between the societal and the individual dynamics of language. 2. There are complex mapping processes between the form of language behavior and the functions it serves. 3. There is a reciprocal interaction between culture and language. 4. Self-regulation characterizes all higher-order behaviors, and therefore language. 5. Valorization is central to these dynamic interactions. Social and psychological realities are simultaneous. Any person is at one and the same time an individual, a member of social networks and groups and part of the wider society. The multidimensional nature of bilingualism calls upon an array of disciplines ranging from neuropsychology to developmental psychology, experimental psychology, cognitive psychology, psycholinguistics, social psychology, sociolinguistics, sociology, the sociology of language, anthropology, ethnography, political and economic sciences, education and, of course, linguistics. Dimensions and measurement of bilinguality. Bilinguality is a psychological state of an individual who has access to more than one linguistic code as a means of social communication. This access is multidimensional as it varies along a number of psychological and sociological dimensions. Some dimensions of relevance are: 1. Relative competence. Competence in both languages is either a. Balanced bilinguality, equal proficiency in both languages, b. Dominant bilinguality, high proficiency in one language. 2. Cognitive organization. Compound bilinguality vs. coordinate bilinguality. 3. Age of acquisition. Childhood before the age of 11. Adolescence 11 to 17 years, adult after 17 years, acquisition and simultaneous vs consecutive bilinguality. 4. Exogeneity. A. Endogenous bilinguality, presence of both languages in the community environment. B. Exogenous bilinguality, absence of the second language in the community. 5. Social cultural status. This includes either of the following: a. Additive bilinguality. Both languages encouraged equally give socially valorized cognitive advantage. b. Subtractive bilingualism. One language encouraged at the expense of the other, leading to cognitive disadvantage. 6. Cultural identity. A. Bicultural bilinguality. Double membership and bicultural identity. b. Monocultural bilinguality. L. Membership and cultural identity. c. Acculturated bilinguality. L. Membership in cultural identity. d. Deculturated bilinguality. Ambiguous membership and anomic identity. That's it for today. Subscribe my channel to get more information about English language. Thanks. Stay blessed.